Hi, I'm Jill Johnson-Young. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I am in Southern California. I operate JillJohnsonYoung.com, and I also am with Central Counseling Services in Southern California, which is in Riverside and Murrieta. And today I thought it would be really important, given the number of contacts I've had this week and last week from friends, family, and therapists telling me that they had kids that they knew and there had been a sudden death or even an expected death, and nobody had prepared the kids. And a couple of them, the funeral was going to be that day. One of these was yesterday, and they didn't know what to do to tell the kids. And I gotta say, I think we need to do better. Now, I did hospice for a long time. I did pediatric hospice for a long time, and I am a grief specialist. I do grief. I teach grief internationally. I teach therapists how to do grief. And I want all of us, therapists, parents, grandparents, all the big people who are with little people who are dealing with a loss, to be able to talk about it, to get them ready ahead of time, to help them say goodbye, and to get them through services and memorials and bedtime when someone has died. Now, I've written the book about it, literally. I have a couple of books that you can find on my website on Amazon. This is one of them. This is for after someone has died. And I have one as well for when someone is about to die. And even one for pets, because pets are where we learn to say goodbye usually the first time. My books are not like other people's books. My books have things like caskets and limousines in them. And they do because kids need to know what's really happening. So let's go through this in less than 10 minutes, I promise. When someone is going to die and you know it, and yes, I will use the D word. I don't say pass away or go away or slip into the night, because kids need to know the concrete reality, what's happening. Someone is not slipping away into the night. Someone is dying. So I use the words because kids need the words. So when someone you know has a big person dying, the little person needs to know that that's happening. They need to hear things like, grandma's body has worked so hard for so many years, and it just can't do anymore. And the doctors have tried everything. And grandma knows that it is time for her not to have to do this anymore. She doesn't want to leave you, and she's always going to be with us in our hearts. But grandma is going to die. And right now we need to go over and say goodbye to grandma and tell her what we're always going to remember about her, what's always going to be special about her, that we're always going to hold on to that bluebird that we have on the shelf that reminds us of grandma, because that was something we did with grandma, was watch bluebirds, or whatever it is that is grandma or grandpa or aunt or uncle or a cousin, or if it's a brother or sister at home. One of the ways children make sure that that person never dies in their heart is by telling that person what they're going to hold on to about them. Now, I'm not just saying this because it's theory. I'm telling you this because I've actually buried 2 spouses and I've had kids at home. And when I was a child, we had losses as well. I had grandparents die and pets die and great aunt and uncles die. And we were part of that because that's part of life. Kids don't get the whole circle of life thing, not even if they watch Simba, if we don't talk about it at home. So we tell kids, I'm your big person. I'm healthy. I'm going to stay here. I'm not dying. But this person we love is dying, and we need to go say goodbye. And then afterward, if it's not COVID, then there's going to be a service or a get-together or a saying goodbye something or a paddle out, or we're going to sit Shiva as a family with friends, or we're going to have whatever memorial our traditions dictate that we should have. And you're going to be part of it. And if appropriate, you can read a passage or sing a song or pick the flowers for the casket or for the table where the urn is going to be. Kids need to know what cremation is. They need to know what happens with burial. My books actually talk about going to a visitation and wearing scratchy clothes, which is supposed to be a reminder for you big people. None of us like wearing scratchy clothes. I'm wearing a t-shirt dress today. Let kids wear something comfortable if you're going to take them to a service, because they're going to be there a while. And after a visitation, please let them have ice cream or donuts or something. They deserve a little something for that, don't you think? Not all of us enjoy shaking all those hands. And now with COVID, we're not shaking hands. We're waving or elbowing, right? Not to make light of COVID, because we have a lot of kids losing loved ones to COVID right now. And so for those kids, we tell them, so-and-so went to the hospital and the doctors did everything they could, but that virus was too much and they could not survive. The doctors could not save them and they died. And we're going to get together to remember them. Tell me some things you're never going to forget about them. Tell me some things that you're going to tell your friends about them. And then make sure that kids don't get trapped. If I'm going to memorial service, if I'm going to my spouse's memorial service, and my kids are there, and they were, there was a big person identified for each small person, so that I didn't have to be eyes on the whole time. I could focus on the service that was there for me too. And if that child wanted out, then there was an identified room that they could go to with their big person and have a snack or a cup of water or read a book or play a game, because services are partly for just big people. And if a little person wants out, let them go. If you're at the visitation and it's a big old funeral home and there's grass out front, let them go outside and play tag. No one is grading you on decorum. Your kids are there. That says everything, right? Let the kids go to the burial or interment. Let them be part of the scattering, if there's a scattering, or the placing in the earth in the forest, if that's what you're doing. There are 1,001 ways that we can talk someone in, and we can take our kids to do that. And it teaches them that huge lesson, which is we take care of those we love until the very end. And then we remember them. And so with the holidays coming up, we talk about them. We include them when we do the Thanksgiving Zoom call or the Thanksgiving table, and we remember something to be thankful for. One of the things we're thankful for is the life of the person who's no longer here and how much they added to our life. One of the things we do at Christmas, at least at our house, where we do celebrate Christmas, is we put an ornament on the tree. We have dog ornaments and cat ornaments. This year we're going to be adding 2 of our beloved oodles to the tree. Their paw prints are up above me right now, waiting to go on the tree in December. Because we should remember those who have been part of our lives and include them in our holidays. We should remember them on their birthdays. We should celebrate them. If a mom dies, that doesn't mean we don't have Mother's Day anymore. It means we remember that mom at Mother's Day. And we remember them for who they really were. And so when I remember my dad on Christmas morning, or Christmas Eve more specifically, I laugh out loud when I let package paper fall to the floor, because my dad never let paper hit the floor. He couldn't tolerate it. He had that plastic trash bag and the paper went right in. I loved his reading of the Christmas story, but the paper not hitting the floor, it was so much fun the first year we let it happen, and we had baby kittens in the house. It was a riot. Those are the stories we hold on to. That's how they stick with us. Watch the movie Coco with your kids or with your littles. Get that story of, as long as we say their names, they're still with us. But equally, get the, as long as somebody is dying, we need to get ready to say goodbye and prepare our littles for what's coming. It does them a great disservice to assume that they can't know or they shouldn't be told, because then they grow up to be the big people who come to see me and say, I never got to go to a memorial service till my dad died, and I was 18 and I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know what was happening. We should prepare our kids. It's part of life. Let's make them part of it. Let's show them it's important. And let's remember those who have died before us so we can put their paws on our tree and remember their bluebirds and talk about who they were to us and how they got us to be the people that we are today, whether or not they'd really like who we are today, right? Go have a good day. And remember that when death comes, it's part of the circle of life. And as long as we remember someone, they're always with us. And as long as we teach our kids that, we are teaching them one of the biggest lessons they will ever learn. Thank you for listening.